Whew. Cold and frosty morning. Whew. Certainly is the coldest day we ever did have. No, it probably isn't. Let's see what it's like inside. Oh, ice on the windows. Oh boy. See what the temperature is. What does that say? About 2 degrees below zero. And let's see the other one. Yeah, about 2 below. No big deal in some countries, but here it's cold, cold, cold. There's the heater getting going. What does the heater say? Heater says -1. So we're roughly in agreement, and I think we'll leave that. It's 10:15 now. I think we'll come back later at about an hour and see how far we've got. Okay, 1 hour later, let's have a look at what the temperature is now. It's up to about, what we call that, 4.5 degrees C. So that's 5 degrees in an hour. Let's see what the controller says. The controller says about 5 degrees C, but on this side it's noticeably colder. When I just walk down here, it feels a lot colder. And the temperature here is about 1.5 or 2 degrees C. And you see that? Let me see if I can. There we go. About 1.5 degrees C. This is a fairly large space, and of course there's the other room which is just through that doorway there, and the heater is pointing in that direction. So up in this part here, and of course in this part up here, it's just harder to heat. So the moral of that is that it is cold in Northern Ireland in January. That's hardly a revelation. But when it's cold in your workshop, what could be better than a nice diesel heater? Well, 2 diesel heaters, that's what could be better. So I got another one. And the great thing about this is, well, I'll get it out of the box first so you can see it. So I was talking to my pal Spike and bragging about my diesel heater, and he said, you know, those are really only made for caravans or small recreational vehicles. He said, they're not really big enough to heat your whole workshop. And I had been thinking for a while that maybe another one would be a good idea. Well, I had been thinking for a while that maybe another one would be a good idea. But I thought, you know, they're probably going up in price. Do I really want to spend more money? It turns out that they've gone down in price a little bit. This one was just over £60 delivered. The first one that I got was about, I think about £100, maybe 100 and something, 110 delivered maybe. And I had to get a 12 volt VAR supply, otherwise known as a 12 volt power supply. But I don't have to do that this time because I've already got a 12 volt power supply, and I can take as many as three or four or something like that off. So that saves 20 quid to start with. So the big question now is, where am I going to put it? Now it needs to be at this end of the workshop because the existing one is covering the other end, but that means I've got to make space, and the space that I've got to make is here. It's my old stove. Now, many of you may remember my fireside chats and blethers by the old stove, but the stove, of course, well, it's open flame for a start, which is a little bit dangerous in a workshop. Secondly, you have to be stoking it with bits of wood all the time. Really, you know, it goes out very easily. I used to run it on coal, and the other thing is it's gradually falling to bits. It was in very poor condition when I got it, but now it's even worse. So I think it's just run its course. It's time to get rid of the stove and make space. Got to get rid of that. Hooray! And it only took 4 hours. So that's that corner all nicely tidied out, so I've got somewhere to put the heater. But before I do that, I have to make a little modification to the heater itself. I'm going to put a fuel filter into it. So let's do that now. That done, and I see they have upgraded the kind of pipe that they use, because they normally had this green plastic pipe that kinked very easily. This is much better. Put this back up where it was, and the fuel filter has tucked itself in just very nicely in there, and I think we'll call that done. Listen here. Okay, now that's the new heater almost completely installed. It's not running yet. That sound that you can hear is the other one over there, keeping the place, well, taking the chill off the air, and it is a chilly day today. But it's not completely installed because I have a secret weapon which you can see beside me. And this is a secret weapon which I thought up with my own brain. No, that's a lie actually. It was my brother who said, you know, the exhaust pipes in these things get very hot. How about if you had a long exhaust pipe snaking backwards and forwards before it goes out the wall, and that way you can reclaim some of the heat? And I said, yeah, that's a great idea. Just like a radiator in a car or a radiator in a house. And you would think that would have given me the idea to use a radiator, wouldn't you? No, it didn't work. A sub of mine called OldManTony told me about another YouTube channel called the Doghouse. And I can't remember the chap's name, but I'll put it in the description, or I'll put it down here somewhere or something like that. And he just got a second-hand radiator, central heating radiator, and ran the exhaust through that, and that was the way he reclaimed the heat from the exhaust pipe. So instead of just the hot air coming out here, I should have heat coming out here as well. Now, I'm being very careful, of course, that I'm not exhausting noxious fumes out into the workspace here. I'm going to be careful about all that sort of stuff. But what I have to do now is do a little bit of plumbing to connect the exhaust pipe to this, and then the other end out to the outdoors. So, let's get that done. Right, I will put this radiator connector on here. A right angle elbow compression joint on there, and then I'll have something coming out, another right angle one coming here, and a piece of pipe coming across. And in order to step that down to this 15mm size, I have this little what do you call this thing, pipe reducer, but it has to, I have to see if I can get it inside this exhaust pipe here. Now that, oh come on, yeah, look at that, that's what you call perfect. Now, to make sure that this is sealed around here, there's no gas leaks, I'll be using a nice old-fashioned product called gun gum. And if you're old enough to remember gun gum, well, my deepest condolences, because you must be as old as I am. This is stuff that we used to use when we used to repair car exhausts with baked bean cans. I was amazed to find out they still make this, but I'm really glad that they do. The other thing that I will be using is this PTFE tape, which you can see is gas quality. You don't use the stuff in the white packets because that's gas permeable, and you put one little wind around it and that's plenty. The next thing to do is make up this bit that comes out here and the bit that goes in there. In my scrap pile I've got a length of 15mm pipe, that should do. I'll cut a bit off and put the reducer onto the end of it. So there we are. Don't be afraid of it, as my dad used to say. Don't be afraid of it. Slosh this stuff on. There we are. That'll do it. Goes up to the end. Yep. Matches! We don't need no stinking matches! Except we do, because we've got to light this. So, there we go. And I know a lot of you are screaming at the screen right now, you did that completely all wrong. But I'm no plumber, I'm no solderer, but one way or another I think that's her done. I don't like this stuff. It's called gum for a very good reason. All the exhaust pipes are plumbed in. Now, that's through the radiator, and there's where the exhaust gas will eventually go out to the outside. The one thing that I am a little bit nervous about is that we're stepping down from about 25mm in diameter to 15mm in diameter, but I have consulted with my motorbike friends who say this shouldn't be a problem. And here's the other part of today's experiment. Instead of using diesel in the diesel heater, we're going to try some kerosene. Right, let's go. Here we go. Here we go. Oh. Okay, this stuff is considerably more odoriferous than the diesel, which has surprised me. I thought it would be the other way around. But the stink is fierce. And some folks like this smell, but let us say it's not really me. How are we doing here? Oh, that's a bit full up. And the stuff is everywhere. This is a total mess. We'll have to do something about this in the future. Oh, it is everywhere. Oh boy, look at that. This is going to cause an embarrassing odour. But I think in a minute or two we'll be ready for the grand firing up. Stand by. Okay. Well, as you can hear, the heater is now going. It's been going for about an hour and a half. I decided not to show you the thing starting up or anything because I thought as soon as I point the camera at this, things are going to start going wrong. First of all, I should say that I've broken a cardinal rule of mine in trying two experiments at once. The kerosene and the recycling the exhaust gas. The air that's coming out is only lukewarm. It's a little bit disappointing. It's right up to its maximum level. Maybe the kerosene isn't quite as good as I'd hoped. I just don't know. The radiator is nice and hot at the bottom. The pipes here, they're really hot. You couldn't put your hand on them, the exhaust pipes. But the radiator, it's hot at the bottom. It's kind of lukewarm at the top. This hasn't worked. I'm disappointed in this because I put my hand down the back for the first time and it is actually quite warm down there. But it's cold back here. So, is this a success? Not really. Maybe I was too optimistic in using a radiator of this size, but it was what I had, and I didn't want to go and spend a lot of money on a brand new radiator or something like that, just for an experiment. So maybe if I can come across a small, like a little bathroom radiator, which is about so big, I might try it again. I think we'll say it was a successful experiment in that I learned something, but has it really helped to get the room any warmer? No, it was a failure. So, that's okay, I don't mind. Thanks so much for coming along for the ride. As always, God's greatest blessings. Thank you very much for watching. And stay tuned for more adventures with the heater and in the workshop. Thanks so much.